I'm lucky enough to be joined by Christy Clark, Lisa Raitt, and Tom Mulcair, who were following along as those votes were cast. Tom, it ended up being the NDP with those 2 abstentions that were able to secure the budget passing for the Liberals. What did you think about the way in which that unfolded?
I don't think that the NDP right now, with 7 members, without a leader and with no money in the bank, was in any position to go to an election. It was interesting to see that Laurie Eadlow actually changed her vote, because it would have changed, of course, the result. I think the Speaker would have decided it for the Liberals in any event. But let's just remember, this is the normal that we're going to be going through now. We're in a minority parliament. This can happen on any confidence motion, and there will be lots of them. And eventually, I still believe, based on my experience, it'll be the government to determine the date of the next election sooner rather than later.
Christy, what did you think of the way that unfolded?
I agree with Tom 100%. It was a little bit less exciting than actually I thought it might be. It was that one vote that seemed to be withdrawing the no and then adding the no was kind of, I think, a moment in history that they'll play in political science classes about online voting or something. But it was, you know, I never thought that the NDP were going to do anything but allow the vote to pass, because, as Tom said, they have no money, they have no leader, they have no organization, they have, you know, their party is really withered at the moment, and they need time to come back. So, you know, it's sort of the new normal. There's no doubt about it. Not huge surprise that it passed at the end of the day, but close should remind us that voting matters. And democracy depends on people participating, and this is the kind of outcome that, you know, I think really proves that democracy can work in Canada.
Yeah, every vote matters, right? There are many MPs there who just, you know, Lisa, won by a few hundred votes, for example. Were you surprised by anything in the way this played out, or ultimately is this the NDP determining they can't afford to go to an election?
Well, I found something really interesting. I found it interesting that both Scott Reid, who is caucus chair, and Andrew Scheer, who is our House leader, had to register their votes afterwards because they both had problems in their apps, which is interesting because they were both in the House as well. So one could possibly surmise that maybe they were waiting to see which way the vote was going to go themselves before they decided if they were going to abstain or if they were going to vote against it. So once they saw the NDP had done the work, then they could vote against the budget. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it is curious.
Well, no, that is kind of interesting. I think Andrew Scheer, to be fair, I heard him say technical difficulties, so I can't assign
they both did.
Intent. But I do know, Tom, that Andrew Scheer and Don Davies had been in quite frequent communication over the last few weeks since the budget was introduced. So certainly it was a live, the discussion about avoiding an election was a live one among opposition parties.
Well said, Vashti. Amongst opposition parties, it wasn't just the NDP that didn't want an election, because if it had been the Conservatives that had pushed this thing, I think there would have been a very heavy political price to pay. Good news, Canadians can go back to preparing and wrapping their Christmas presents and go through a normal holiday season. And we can go through all this again in a couple of months.
Vashti, I think Lisa is really onto something here. This whole thing, she's absolutely right. I mean, she's been in the Conservative caucus before, so she knows this environment a little bit better than I do. But it does seem odd that those particular 2 people would have had to re-register their vote.
Yeah, I will say also, Matt, it looks like Matt Genereu's now vote is, he's also an abstention, which is interesting because, which is interesting just given all the sort of drama that unfolded. I don't know if he's going to stick around. Lisa, I don't know if you know better than I do, but till the spring, if in fact he wasn't willing to vote with the caucus tonight, I feel like that sends a pretty clear message.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was looking to see what was going on there as well. And I guess they'll deal with it in caucus. But I think the leader's been very clear that Matt's in caucus until the spring, as long as he's sitting there, and they're very supportive of him.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks, everyone. Don Davies just stepped up to the microphone, so I appreciate your time tonight. Christy Clark, Lisa Raitt, and Tom Mulcair, our front bench.